Hi everyone, welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV for your daily lunchtime stream. I hope everyone is well and recovering from that 0-0 against Brentford, which was a hard watch in many ways. I hope that you can hear me and see me okay. I have a bit of trouble with my audio as of late, so let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I tried to switch laptops, but it was all a bit of a mess, and yes, this is just YouTube for you. So I hope that on your end things are okay. Fingers crossed. Make sure you like the stream, and of course, today we will be talking about Enzo Maresca and whether he should be under pressure. I am very, very, very happy that you can hear me. It seems like great, good. Afternoon to everyone who's just joining. Hope everyone is well. Hit the thumbs up, guys, on the stream and welcome along. Get involved in the chat as it's just me today. So, hoping to talk to you guys. And it's very nice and sunny here in London. So, the weather is getting better. And it's honestly amazing how much your mood can be influenced just by the weather. When it's warmer, everyone just feels a little bit happier. I don't know why my voice is so grouchy. Goodness me. Okay, good. Think I'm better. But hi everyone. Hope everyone is well. Big up to you, Jordan. We will basically talk about Maresca today and what's going wrong, why it seems like Maresca's happy, but we're not. What is going on? Are we envisioning the same things here? It doesn't seem that way. Yes, Maresca is under pressure. Top four is absolutely a must. The lineup that weekend really baffles me. Jackson and Palmer on the bench. Yes, we will talk about the Brentford game a little bit and then we'll just put it away because we have a lot of difficult games coming up and we will absolutely need to be on top of our game. Obviously, starting with some Conference League action on Thursday against Legia Warsaw, which hopefully is straightforward and done and dusted in the first leg. But you never know with Chelsea, do you, nowadays? But thank you very much for everyone who has dropped us a comment. I hope everyone is doing well. Hello to you, Niall. Afternoon, Tom. Afternoon, Rubik's. Looking good in yellow. Thank you. I said it's quite summery. The sun's out, so thought I'd get my summer colours out. Well, it's actually spring, isn't it? It's spring. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And actually, it's really funny, but you'd think that it's like 30 degrees in London. It's literally 14 degrees. However, let me tell you something. That is enough for us to get the summer colours out. A lot of people are actually in flip-flops out as well, which is bizarre. But it's been a cold winter, okay? And back in Bulgaria, it's snowing right now. So I'm feeling very, very, very lucky and happy to see the sun out in London today. Yes, everyone, make sure you subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so already, and so you can get involved in the chat. And big up to you, Stephen. Hope you're well. Thank you very much for letting me know that you can hear me. Okay. And how can Maresca be under pressure when ownership doesn't care? Good question, Stephen. We'll look to answer that. Do you think that we will get Osimhen? No. The ownership is to blame. Why are we looking at him in a championship manager? Not good enough. Well then, guys, let's get straight into it. Enzo Maresca, appointed following Pochettino's departure, the man who would now be the guy to lead us to this so-called long-term project prosperity that we have been invited to believe in since the takeover. And it's been a rocky ride. It's not been smooth sailing. However, we can all kind of look back and agree that we were promised something, and by the way we were playing at the start of the season and the way that results were going our way, the way that players just looked very, very excited and were playing with so much freedom and expression, it seemed like things were actually clicking. We finally got our Chelsea back, right? ... we were sold this kind of dream, or at least shown a glimpse of what Chelsea could look like under Enzo Maresca, and it really did just seem like, oh, Ravi's just said that my sound is muffled. This is exactly what I was worried about, Ravi. Thanks for pointing it out. But basically, I tried to switch laptops, but then it meant I'd keep you guys waiting, and I was very unorganized. So I don't know. I hope that it's not too bad. I hope that it's not too bad. Anyway, Rory says, don't get me wrong, Maresca's first half team wasn't good, but I saw why he did it. Second game for returning players and playing 2 games in 3 days. Second half I thought was very good and we were just unlucky. Yeah, I suppose you have got an element of truth in that comment, Rory, because I do understand that we should have enough quality to field the team we did and get the result in the end, because obviously Brentford historically, I say historically, recently is a very tricky fixture for us, because it seems like Brentford always fancy us in a way that they always seem to expose weaknesses, and it is obviously such a big deal when they play us, because obviously that's a big game for them. It is a big game for us as well, but it seems like they do get the better of us. And I think that game could have gone either way. I think Brentford equally walked away thinking we could have taken Chelsea that day, because they equally had chances there. They were very unlucky to not be clinical, missed some sitters as well. So I think we were quite lucky in a sense. I think we were unlucky. I know, I think it's crazy to say, but that game really was end to end at times. Both teams had equal chances. So I guess from that side of things, you can't quite blame Maresca for the chances that weren't finished. However, he did really, with the setup from the get-go, mean things were difficult, because then he recognised and he went backwards because he brought on Palmer, Jackson and Neto eventually. I just think if we'd started them, we potentially could have sealed it in the first half and then kind of not relax, because you can never relax. And we saw what happened when we relaxed at home against Brentford in December, because actually that game really was where it was really pressurised at the end, because Brentford could have equalised and it could have been a similar situation to the 2-2 we saw last year. So actually we were at a disadvantage because we set up that way. It meant we made the game more difficult, and you could see how much it livened up in the second half. As you say, it was better. So my thinking was, why couldn't it have been the other way around? Why couldn't we have finished the job in the first half, and then the players that needed to rest could go off and rest, and we could bring in the players that started at the beginning. Now, I'm wary that Maresca is probably cautious with rushing players back, and because we have a difficult run till the end, he probably wants to keep everyone fit. That's not a wild thought. However, I think there's a way of doing that, and I definitely think that it is so important that we do get these results. And that 0-0 just was very underwhelming in the sense that it didn't help us out. I think obviously very lucky that City drew the game against United later that day, but we can't just keep hoping that teams around us will slip up and drop points so that we can have a door open into the Champions League spots, because the run until the end of the season, all these teams are going to gear up now. We have a very difficult run, and yes, we are in the Conference League as well, but other teams that we're competing against are literally, also fighting for things. Newcastle are on a high from winning the cup final. They're going to look and they're going to fancy us. When we go to St James's Park, that's going to be a difficult game. We've still got to play Forest, Liverpool, of course, Manchester United. So not easy. And these fixtures troubled us when we were good. So it's not wild to be worried that they could trouble us when we are going through a poor run of form right now. Hello, Will. Good to see you in here. Hope you are well. And what's my score for the Ipswich game? Well, what is my prediction for the Ipswich game? I am quite positive that we can get a result against them now. I think, obviously, that game against them was very concerning when we lost. And don't get me wrong, we absolutely got beaten, fair and square. But again, we let ourselves down. I will edge us to win this one, though. I would like to say we could get like a 2-1 maybe. Quite narrow again, though. I'm not very confident with our scores as of late, because we haven't blown teams away. Even, okay, take Southampton maybe, but every single scoreline we've won, even take against Leicester, again, very, very narrow 1-0. Tottenham, very, very narrow 1-0. It's just simply not convincing when you watch us play. So I'm not going to sit here and disrespect Ipswich, but I do think we should win that game. And if we don't, then I'm going to be very, very angry and concerned, as will everyone else. Because these are the games we should be winning. We said that last year, that run after Brentford, where we went on to play Ipswich, Fulham, etc., and lost those games. That was the run that we could have comfortably excelled and propelled ourselves into a better spot. So come this time where teams are dropping points around us, we can be in a much more comfortable spot and not have to look at these remaining games and wonder, where do we pick up 4 or 5 wins from? And as we've seen with Brentford, not great. Really, really, really not great. Summer transfer window shows our ownership doesn't care. Maresca isn't under any pressure when he's on a 5-year contract, even though he's an inexperienced manager in the Prem. Well, let's talk about this appointment at the start, because we were all apprehensive about Enzo Maresca being appointed for Chelsea's manager. A very thin CV, very limited time spent in managing in English football, and yes, of course, won the championship with Leicester, but even Leicester fans told us there were a lot of concerning signs about the way he was quite stubborn in changing things and making tweaks at some point in the season. And I believe it was around the same time last year, he hit a bit of a wall where things became very repetitive. He wasn't changing things game to game, and actually things went very stale on the pitch as well. And it's very much the same thing at Chelsea right now. We're no longer entertaining. We don't look great. We're not convincing even in our wins. And this kind of style that Maresca wanted to implement was very much maybe successful and just about cut it in the Championship, but it was always too naive to expect that this would cut it in the Premier League. And if you did think that, then that's a big reality check, I think, for him. Coming off the back of Pochettino's season, I think Maresca had the advantage of the players forming had had some chemistry formed, as opposed to when Pochettino took over from Graham Potter's side, because he'd lost the dressing room, but Pochettino managed to kind of bring the players together. They all said they'd formed really good relationships with him. They looked a bit more comfortable with each other. And obviously we saw that at the end of last season and the run we had. So Maresca inherited a team that at least had formed a bit of chemistry, and the players were very much just excited to hit the ground running, fight for their place in this very, again, bloated squad with so many players to select from. So everyone was almost treating every game like an audition. So Maresca actually had an advantage from the side of things that our players were just very, very keen to get out there, play their football, and pick up off a, again, disappointing season. So players played with expression, they played with freedom. We took risks, we took shots outside the box, we took shots when we had an opportunity, and that was reflected by the scorelines because we were absolutely winning games convincingly. So the fact that we've now gone a little bit backwards, and where Maresca spent more time with these players and has spent more time instructing them on the way that he wants them to play, that's where everyone seems to just have crawled into a bit of a shell. And some of these players, is it coincidental that Palmer dropped off a little bit? Is it coincidental that our players like Sancho won't take shots? And I just think, and if you guys watched the day after pod with myself and Dan yesterday, we talked about this element of risk taking. It's not there. And when Neto was subbed on in the second half, he did take risks, right? And I just thought, well, why isn't that something that we saw in the first half from our attacking players? Why did Neto come on and be so direct and so careless in a good way, to be direct, to have a crack? If players did that in the first half, I truly think we'd be in a better position, because yes, we missed chances, but at the same time, there were so many more that weren't taken in the first place. And sometimes that's the difference between walking away with a win or not. And I just think that lack of, the lack of risk taking in the team is really costing us. And if they're just following instructions from Enzo Maresca and he's simply not letting players shoot, and we want to walk the ball inside of the net every time, just so we can dominate in possession and have the ball, well, then that's a flaw, and that's down to Enzo Maresca, isn't it? So these are the red flags that we're seeing in games that are hinting at the fact that Maresca is instructing the players to be very, very more thoughtful, in a sense where they're overthinking it so much. Sorry, guys, I think I'm losing my voice. I sound so bad. Sorry, that just made me laugh. I lost my voice a little bit after Tottenham, but it's been a week since then. So I don't know what that's all about. Sorry. Anyways, what are other people saying in the chat? Hey Chris, my worry is Maresca's job is not in danger, even if we don't make Champions League. Will our owners want to look like idiots again if they sack another manager? Yes, Chris, you make a great point here, because I think where we've lost a bit of faith in the ownership has been coming from the fact that they've gone back and forth with their decisions on appointing managers. So obviously the first big risk was taken when we sacked Thomas Tuchel with no actual plan B. Like, Graham Potter was appointed again on a very thin CV, and not necessarily one that granted he could take over this very, very messy Chelsea side and, you know, get us back into Champions League football, whatever the hell the priority was at that time. And, you know, when that didn't work out and he was appointed for 5 years, they had to kind of go back on it and say, oh, actually, we need to buy ourselves some time. So let's bring in Frankie Lampard till we figure out our next move. So I think what you're actually saying there is very true. So it is concerning that he's not under pressure, because Champions League is an absolute must, and all of us fans know that, and it was an expectation from the start of the season, before the start of the season actually. So if we're looking at why Pochettino departed, and because, you know, if supposedly it was that he didn't get us Champions League football, then that should very much stand with Maresca. However, they are obviously going to be concerned about the fact that they are going to look like very incapable of making these decisions for appointing the next Chelsea manager. So that doesn't fill us with confidence that the next one they choose is going to be the guy. And that's the thing. They've obviously got a criteria when they look for these managers. And, you know, we all kind of say, oh, they're yes men. In a sense, they are. But also the way that Maresca has us playing is he's very much wanting to implement this style where Chelsea now have an identity, even though we kind of don't, in a sense. And he wants to implement his system so badly that he's almost lost track of the real sign, the real big expectations here, and what we actually needed to do. I think we could be lucky. I think we could get lucky. And if we do make Champions League football, it's not going to so much be virtue to Enzo Maresca. It's actually going to be because other teams have made as many mistakes as they have as well, and there has been quite a significant drop-off in terms of competitiveness for Champions League spots. Sorry, guys, I'm once again really, really behind on your comments, but hopefully I can address some of them. And to anyone who's just joined, guys, welcome. Please hit that like button on the stream. Let's aim for 50 likes. I don't know how many we are on now. I always feel like a teacher when I do this and I have to check how many likes we have on a stream, but I'm going to do that anyway and see how we are doing. So we are currently on 21 likes. Can we get to 50, guys? That's our target today. Jordan says, I can see Maresca being sacked next season or the season after. Can't see him at 5 years to the club. Neither can I, because there are greater risks here. Well, there are greater concerns here that we will talk about with Enzo Maresca staying at Chelsea. Benny, big up to you. Hope you're well. Glad to see you are in here. Thomas Tuchel was the best manager we ever had to the club, even when we had Conte as well. It brings a tear to my eye. He had his first goal contribution against Spurs and it won us the game. We have lacked those Gino, and that has cost us a lot of points. If he gets back in form, we can get top form. I'd rather see Fabregas at Chelsea with the tactics looks better than Enzo's. Young players being fed too much tactical info, overloading the decision-making on the pitch. That's a great point, Jack, actually. And thank you for sharing that with us, because that's a very good point. And I think you could see that at the start of the season, these young players were very much like, I don't care. I'm going to have a shot. I want to score a goal. I want to assist. And you can see that where Maresca's maybe instructed them to be a little bit more reserved, is evident on the pitch, because why are you trying to pass every single time? Why are you trying to lay a cross off every time when you are in a position to shoot? Yeah, okay, Maresca's probably saying, oh, in that way we're going to lose the ball, and then, we get hit on a break and then we have to defend, and then, but you can't walk the ball into the back of the net every time, can you? So we have been so void of these goals where, someone's shooting from distance, like Sancho against Tottenham, like Neto against Arsenal, like those kind of goals, like Cole Palmer against pretty much every team and where we've seen him score goals. But that's the thing that we miss so much right now. And it's like, great, we can create chances, but what's the point if players just dilly dally with it on the wings every time and it's just recycled back into midfield so that we can keep possession? And if I'm not wrong, Maresca made a comment about where he praised the possession and how much we had of the ball. So what's this guy doing? Is he going through every single game and seeing how much possession we had and basing his sort of using that as a criteria that we played well or not, when we could barely register shots and we were very, very predictable in the style of play. What else are people saying? Justin says Maresca is far too stubborn to be an elite manager. I hate to start over again, but I don't think he's good enough, unfortunately. Yeah, I hear you, Justin. I think you make a great point about stubbornness. Let's be real. He came into Chelsea. We all raised our eyebrows. It's not exactly like the guy has had absolutely brilliant managerial experience. There was a lot, and there was enough there to make you question whether he would be good enough for the job. But frankly, with some of the other links that we had, obviously, the ship sailed, and we were looking at Luis Enrique when we were looking at Pochettino as well. Who else were we looking at? Can't even remember now. But at the time, Nagelsmann, of course, when we were looking at Pochettino. And then when that ship sailed, we were eventually, when we were looking after Pochettino, it was like you had Kieran McKenna there, Enzo Maresca obviously was getting thrown around, and you could really see the type of manager that they were trying to go for. There was just this one category of all these kind of ticks. And yeah, so it's not outrageous to think that Maresca is not going to be good long term for Chelsea. And I actually do worry about certain things next season. What happens when we do get into Champions League football, guys? Have you ever thought about that? Enzo Maresca managing Chelsea in the Champions League? Just think about that for a second. Yeah, that's just the thought I'd leave you with. Mystery illness going around, watch out. I can't get sick now because the weather's too nice. Jordan, thanks for the honesty. I do sound terrible. Do you know what? It comes and goes. I had this where I just get into a bit of a coughing fit and then I'd be okay, but maybe I should. Thanks for your concern, Jordan. The Club World Cup will make it impossible to sack him, unfortunately. He's simply not good enough. Yeah, I don't think Enzo Maresca will be sacked, to be honest with you. Yeah. Zed Keltia, how do you pronounce that? I'm sorry if I can't pronounce that. I'd rather see says Fabregas at Chelsea. Bring him in, guys. Bring him in. Thank you very much for the super chat. Is Kendrick Hyers staying with us next season, or is he going to our sister club Strasbourg? Honestly, I couldn't tell you, Will. Probably. I think there was already a loan move negotiated for him, if I'm not wrong. But to be honest with you, these things are over my head at the moment because we've still got a job to do till the end of the season. It's all good looking at who's coming in and the transfers we're going to make, but trust me, guys, we have got a job to do until that time comes. Transfers make me feel numb at the moment. I want to hear the Champions League anthem. Yeah, well, you'll be hearing the Conference League one before that. This is the worst Premier League season probably ever. Why are Chelsea still fourth? Yeah, Jason, I actually said this. Again, if we make it into Champions League spot, we've got a lot of thank you cards to give out to certain other clubs. We have to kind of handwrite a note and send them out to everyone for being as uncompetitive as they have been. Because again, you're right. Why have we lost as many games as we have and still very much in and around the conversation? So I think if we make it, which I think we will. Maybe I'm being very, very optimistic here. I think we will. But I think, it will be lucky, and we will almost have leeway and another chance. I can't even say this. I'm stuttering as I speak because I'm trying hard to make myself believe something over here. But it will be absolutely down to other teams being as up and down as we have, I suppose. However, this is a crucial period because we can still mess it up in this run of games. It's quite difficult. If and we will do this after, as I do every time, go through the fixtures we have remaining, can we pick out 4 wins, like 4 solid wins? It's going to be difficult. More likes, everyone. Yes, Will. Thank you very much. Run the likes up, people, as we come up to the half-hour mark of me waffling away here. Just drop us a like. Helps share it out. I'm going to take a sip of my really now cold coffee. Just wanted to show you this mug, by the way, guys. I don't know if it's going to zoom in. It's very rubbed out because it's very old, but it says, "Me and Dad love Chelsea," and walking to Wembley. It's not going to zoom in. But yeah. Oh, it did. Here we go. My nice little mug. There you go. Someone's confirmed that for you. Stephen, our main striker target is Delap, so with United and other rivals after him, what happens if we don't get him? Another kid? Yes, you answered yourself perfectly there. And we can pretend that we're in for all the top strikers in the world, but we are every single window, guys. And frankly, it just means that nothing. So I won't believe it until it's there. Because, again, targets, whispers, every single window we're linked to a world-class striker, and we end up with nobody. So, there we go. They've began. We need a world-class spine, a world-class manager, a world-class director, and new owners that cares about winning. This manager cannot beat a top 4 club if his life depended on it. And that's the thing. And I've seen some interesting debates where people have said at least we've been competitive last year under Pochettino in these top sides. This year, you could argue our performance away at Anfield against Liverpool is probably our best performance against the top side, and it was a draw. And even then, we drew to Arsenal earlier in the season, obviously lost later on to them, drew to Manchester United. Yes, we beat Tottenham twice, but that's almost like a default for us, isn't it? City, obviously, they beat us twice. So it's just a bit of it is a bit of a kick in the teeth to think that, we're inept of doing well against the top side and getting a result. And, at the start we were saying, at least, we are winning all the easier games, and yes, we are losing or drawing to the top sides, but that will come. But now these lines are very blurred, guys, because we've obviously lost to bottom sides. We've also been up and down against different teams. Doing the double over a team has seemed a lot harder than it has been previously, which is wild to say because we actually won't have done the double over many teams this season. A lot of them have had a good go at us. So there are a lot of basics that we maybe took for granted last year that, are lacking. But yeah, it is really, really difficult. So do we go and beat United? Do we go and beat Liverpool? Do we beat Nottingham Forest? Do we beat Newcastle? I'll just leave that there for you. And you have to consider them top 4 clubs right now because these clubs except Manchester United, but these are the clubs that are fighting for these spots. And obviously, Liverpool, that's done. You look at the table. Let's have a look at the table actually now, shall we? I'll bring it up in just a second and we can go through it. Stephen, thank you very much. I'm glad that you enjoyed the collab with Dan. To those of you who didn't check it out, it's over on Chelsea Fan TV the day after Chelsea drew 0-0 to Brentford. And we just did a deep dive of the game, looked at some of the wider issues, and it's a bit more of a breakdown. You might be asking, what is there to break down about a 0-0? But yeah, thank you, Stephen. Glad you enjoyed that. And we will absolutely do another collab soon. Dan's absolutely great, though. Get some water, Nina. Yeah, my bottle's all the way on the other side of the room, so feeling a little bit lazy to get that at this minute. So cold coffee it is. But yeah, we'll get the table up in a minute and we'll go through the fixtures. We'll talk about some of the other teams and obviously their realistic chances of squeezing into a top 5 spot. Stephen, not a thing. Not a thing is heard about that. I'm not too sure. Obviously, the Supporters Trust sent over their letter, and I'm not too sure if there hasn't actually been a response. It's been very, very quiet, so not too sure. You won't be walking to Wembley anytime soon. Cry. Should get an old classic Chelsea mug, Nina. Yeah, honestly, we have a mug ban in my house now because we have so many and there's nowhere to put them. So I should be getting one, but yeah. Poch is levels above Maresca, even if he's a Spursy mug. Who agrees with that, by the way? Who agrees that Poch is levels above Maresca? Maybe mascara. I just realised you've written that mascara. But there's a lot of Poch revisionism now, which is mental. But you kind of look at how many points we've got under Maresca, how many points we've got under Pochettino. Maybe some will say that certain players have improved, and obviously at the start of the season, nobody was even talking about Poch, of course. I mean, not that someone is still talking and missing Poch, but, when you look at Maresca and how much he's actually elevated us and how much he's upgraded us, certain players are obviously doing much, much better. Hey, Nina. Hey, Prem Talk. As for me, I'm glad Fifth secures us Champions League football. So we still have high chance of that and Conference League good season. I don't care how other teams perform. I hear you on that, but I think we unfortunately are in a position where we have to look at other teams performing because they are equally involved in our chances of securing Champions League football. Again, teams have been fluctuating up and down. Well, it's been a bizarre kind of moving around. It looks like it's going to be decided very, very late on. So I suppose if that's one thing that's going to make the Premier League entertaining this season, then it's probably that. Certainly not a title race. But yeah, no, Fifth, we're very lucky that secures the Champions League football. I want to believe we'll just make it in there. However, I do think that we're going to have to see not necessarily how other teams perform, but other results will matter. They absolutely will matter because our games until the end of the season, they are not all winnable. They're not. And frankly, with the way that we're playing and how we've been doing, I don't know. I want to give Maresca the benefit of the doubt and say, after Brentford last year and that very, very toxic 2-2, it was a bit of a turning point. We did kind of go on and look a little bit better at the end of the season, but I don't actually think Enzo Maresca's got that in him. But all eyes are on Maresca now because, again, we can wish for the better future at Chelsea and wish for all the, transfers in the world come this summer. But Maresca's got this team now and these players now to see out a job to secure a Champions League football and to actually ensure we look attractive to any top players that we get linked with in summer. So it's going to be tough. It's actually crazy that we it could get toxic again, guys. I just have flashbacks. Anyways, Jordan says if we were in the Champions League instead of Conference League this season, we would be cooked and won't last long. Oh, absolutely. I mean, just look at the cups. We'd be out very early on. I mean, thank God for the league phase format, I guess, because, but that's quite funny. That's why I genuinely worry about Chelsea under Enzo Maresca in the Champions League. It's all fun getting there, guys. Trust me, I'm all for it. I miss UCL nights at the Bridge. However, UCL nights with Maresca at the Bridge, that does raise my eyebrows a little bit, Hello from Australia. Hello to Australia. This team is far from what we were back in the John Terry days, Rudiger days, Hazard days. The team has no chemistry. Yeah, gone are the days. Gone are the days, TP world. But yeah, that is just reality. And that's the thing. It's like we all live in this little bubble where we can't wait for Champions League nights. But I think it's going to be, we got to be real here. They're not going to be anything like they were, back in the great days. And I just do worry about us because, you don't have the luxury of selecting an A team and a B team and playing your, lesser players in Europe. That's just not how it works. And the way that we've struggled to build consistency with starting 11s week in, week out, where we've been so up and down. There's no really player that's guaranteed a starting spot. Well, obviously we've got a few, definitely. But in terms of actual fixated positions where everyone knows exactly where they are. Maresca still hasn't really worked that out. We do still see a lot of chopping and changing in players' positions as well. So he doesn't have it down. He absolutely doesn't have it down. And that just makes me worry about when we get to play in the Champions League, what are we going to look like, guys? Like, how are we going to be competitive? Because I even just think that the players that will come in summer and how Maresca's going to utilize them in his system that he's trying so hard to create. Yeah, I don't actually want to picture it. So it's all great for the fans, it's all great to hear the Champions League anthem, but the actual performances and the results, that's going to be pretty difficult. Delap and Jonathan David could be a realistic deals. Will happen. Delap got a release clause of 40 million. If Ipswich get relegated this season, just go and get him. We won't get Osimhen. No, guys, Osimhen is never happening. That's a myth. Never was going to, never will. Just kiss it goodbye. I spent a lot of time wishing and wondering, and no, I've really come to my senses. Osimhen to Chelsea is never happening. I will tell you that now. Hello. Maresca is out of his depth. Certainly, lots of people agree with you. Reality check, Nina, we're not getting Champions League. If we did, we would be out in the group stages. We are a long way from. Yeah. Thanks for making that clear. Chelsea one call away from a 64 million signing in transfer battle with Manchester United. Go for David as he's a free. Delap if you can't get him. Sesko is too expensive. I'm excited for Esteval, and if Palmer has started on the right wing to accommodate him, do it. Yeah, it will be interesting to see Christopher. Again, I'm just not looking that far ahead right now because I just think, we have such a difficult job from now till the end of the season. And I do worry. But we'll bring up the table in just a moment and go through our fixtures together and just actually together see what's realistic to demand from Chelsea in these remaining fixtures because they're not easy. Not easy at all. What else are people saying? Right then, let's get the table, the Premier League table up and get our fixtures. I will do that first. Let's get our fixtures up and we will have a look at what is realistic to demand from Chelsea right now and what we might expect. I can't believe it's nearly over though, guys. I can't believe we're already a week into April. We're literally a third into the year. What is happening? Right then. Okie dokie then. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, so the Premier League right now as it stands. So we obviously have Chelsea in fourth currently. Not sustainable though, really not sustainable because as you can see here, following last night, Newcastle are level on points with us, just behind, and obviously City one. Like, look how tight it honestly is. So if you look literally from first to seventh. You could include Fulham if you like. I thought Fulham as well had honestly called it a day, called it a season, but then, came out with that performance against Liverpool. We obviously still have to play them. Big derby. Really is a big derby, guys. I mean, could you imagine Fulham doing double over us this year? I don't want to imagine it. But this is not, the way we've been playing, the way we've been grinding out results is not sustainable. It's not sustainable because literally the table shows it there. So we're 4 off Forest at the moment, who are in third, and we are, we're not in a great place. We are not in a great place. This is simply, So obviously Newcastle, we still have to play them, and again, I think they're on a high right now. They are on absolute vibes. After winning that cup final, after the parade and the celebrations they had, and how much excitement they got from that. They'll be looking to please their fans as much as they can, make this a season to remember with the run-in until they have to the end and, just basically do a job. So obviously, Newcastle, they won 3-0 against Leicester last night. That's put them in a nicer position. If I'm not wrong, they probably have the easier run out of these teams till the very end. Let's just have a look. Well, yeah, we got United next, Palace, then Villa, Ipswich, Brighton, and then they're playing us, and then they've got Newcastle. They've got Newcastle, like Arsenal. This is the thing, guys. We will be influenced by how other teams go. Like right now, with how tight it is at the spot, honestly, we will have to sneak in there. I'm actually not joking. City, yes, they've had a very poor season. Champions, where have the champions gone? But Pep Guardiola, at least, you look at these teams, they've still got a manager that can somehow pull something out the bag, sneak into a fifth spot. Nottingham Forest, obviously, I think they have got it down, but at the end of the day, no, it's impossible for them to drop out of the five, I think, with how they're going. I think, yes, the Premier League has been poor in many ways, but you can't discredit Nottingham Forest's performance overall as a whole and how they've competed against top sides. Kind of jealous from that standpoint. They've been very competitive in top games and what we call the traditional six. So at least they've been getting wins. But when we have a look to see our actual run of games and what that looks like is, let me just bring that up. So if we bring up our fixture list here, we've obviously, first leg away at Legia Warsaw on Thursday. I really just want us to get that wrapped up in the first leg. I don't want to see any business where we're under pressure in the return leg like we were in qualifying, because that's, it's just a little bit insane, isn't it, to have to do a job at Stamford Bridge at the end, because we should all be focused on the Ipswich game. I'm not saying that it's a given. Our Conference League games recently as well, concerningly, have become quite dry as well. We're not blowing these teams away. Copenhagen home and away was, a call for concern. I think we are absolutely going to be seeing more of our so-called first teamers. I think, Cole Palmer probably starts in this game as well. And it's not great, but, we can't be complaining about tight fixtures and less days to rest and less days to train, etc. Because this is what top teams do. You compete in several competitions, and we should nowhere be looking at this game as a distraction from the Premier League. And, Maresca, don't you dare. Honestly, that should be a win, and hopefully a comfortable one, so that we can focus solely onto that Ipswich game at the weekend. Now, Chelsea-Ipswich, obviously, again, we were beaten fair and square, gifted their first home season win earlier in the season, well, mid-season. And, that was kind of the start of something terrifying for Chelsea, because we said this moment will pass. I remember saying it's just some adversity, we'll bounce back. We didn't, in fact, bounce back. So we actually have to beat Ipswich, and I think we will. I think it will be narrow, but I think we will win at home. Sorry, guys, I needed to sneeze. Bless me. And then after that, obviously, yes, our return leg against Legia Warsaw, which, again, I think our job needs to be done in the first leg. So in between then, obviously, that's a home game, and then Fulham, Everton, teams that we didn't beat. We didn't beat these teams. Fulham, again, you saw what they did against Liverpool. They are a team that can fight back, and he still got the better of Maresca in December. And again, Fulham will be absolutely ready for us. We're going to be at Craven Cottage, not easy. They can make it quite hostile there. And again, I think teams have figured out how to play against Chelsea. So if they like, they can just sit back at us and watch us struggle. But I'm going to edge Chelsea to win here, because I need us to get a bit of momentum going. We haven't had any momentum going. I said I really wanted us to use Tottenham coming off that high of beating them to go into Brentford, and we didn't, in fact, do that. It was a bit of a smack back to reality. I just want to bring up Jordan's comments. I see us playing Betis or Fiorentina in our final game. Not easy, by the way, not easy. But let me know, guys, in the comments. Fulham, is that a win? Is that a straightforward win for Chelsea? Yes or no? Can Fulham surprise us? Can Fulham surprise us? Surely not. Surely not. But either way, I say that could be a draw. That game could be a draw. It's just actually crazy how little faith I have in Chelsea's conviction here on to the very end. But surely that's a win. Surely Chelsea gets a win against Fulham away from home. I can't imagine anything otherwise. And then obviously that's follows by Everton at home. We beat Everton 6-0 at home not long ago, you know. Oh, Christopher, don't you say that. Can you imagine Anthony having the game of his career in the final and we end up losing? I think I will crawl away into a hole, guys, and I will be away for the foreseeable future if that happens. You won't hear or see me. We will win Fulham and Ipswich, easy 3 points. Okay, then. So that's comfortable 6 out of 6 then. What are we saying? Is everyone in agreement that Ipswich and Fulham are 6 out of 6? I can't see us beating Fulham, Jason says. We haven't won any away games in ages. Actually, you raised a great point there. I think after the Brentford game, a stat came out where we haven't won a game away from home since, was it Tottenham? Or have I completely made that up? And that's really, really wrong. But it doesn't sound well to me. And do you guys remember when we were saying that our away form was great at the start of the season and actually we needed to do better at home? At least a positive of that is it's switched a little bit. Our run of form has been better at Stamford Bridge. So did I, Real Gems. So did I. You're not the only one here, mate. So don't feel bad, honestly. Fulham won't be easy. We will go away with a draw if lucky. I can absolutely hear you on that. A draw isn't outrageous. Again, I think Fulham, on their day, they have surprises. And they have really, again, fancied playing top teams this season. To them, this is a huge derby. And I do fear Fulham a little bit, I must say. As long as we put Jackson, Noni, and Palmer, should be no problem. Fulham is a better team on paper than Brentford. Well, so is that you saying that we won't beat them? Okay, guys. So I think that says it all. The fact that you guys are divided in the comments regarding that performance, whether it is 3 points or not, kind of tells me everything. But in my La La Land and in my utopian world, we get 6 out of 6 in these 2 games, and then move on to Everton, another one that troubled us at Goodison Park. Now, Everton, they don't make it easy for opposition at all. We've seen that, and I do, however, think we can win. But it's actually naive. Is that 3 wins possible, guys? I can't even imagine that. 3 wins for Chelsea in a row right now in the league. But that will be great because in the next games after that, we'll look at. I genuinely don't know where a win comes from. Oh, Everton 12:30. Oh, I didn't even realise that. It is 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday. But I'm not going to sound like Jurgen Klopp here and complain about that. So it is what it is. 12:30, we'll be there. And hopefully, yeah. Hopefully we can do a job. But no, I think we can beat Everton. I like to believe that we can beat Everton. Obviously, we're not going to score 6 against them, but the thing is, Everton will make it tough. They aren't involved in high-scoring games, and teams can't really put more than 1 or 2 past them. It just seems like so that will be very hard fought if we get a win against them. No 6 goals coming from that one, absolutely not. But yeah, it's been difficult as of late, and that it could easily be a draw again. Everton are a Russian roulette. You have no clue if they will turn up or become lost in the grass. I think this is a perfect description, MDP, of Everton because, again, you just don't know. And they have the ability to make you want to rip your hair out sometimes with the way they set up against you. And if I were them, I'd be looking at us right now and I'd just say, let's just sit back. Let's just sit back up against the wall and watch Chelsea struggle. Yeah, no, we don't want to draw against Everton again, but it's perfectly possible. And, it's not going to be outrageous if we do. So I actually, out of those 3 fixtures, I think I'd actually be quite worried about Everton. Not that they could beat us, but, that we don't get 3 points against them. because it's going to be difficult. But moving on then, guys, from that Chelsea Everton game, well, what have we here? Chelsea versus Liverpool, or shall we just now call them the champions of England? Chelsea versus Liverpool, guys. Just a moment of silence, really. Is anyone a smidge optimistic about this one? In my head, this is defeat. Don't even need to explain or justify or go into the ins and outs. What do you think, guys? Chelsea versus Liverpool. Can someone sell me a dream and convince me? Sit here and convince me that this could be. We could have something for Liverpool that day. No, I know, Jason. Liverpool is a write-off, absolutely. But maybe at that point, Liverpool are going to be at the beach with their cocktails, planning their parades and everything and whatnot, and just think, oh, little old Chelsea, we can give them okay, well, yeah, we can give them something. But no, in my head, Liverpool is defeat. Don't really need to go into that one too much. And actually, last year, I'd probably be sitting here thinking, we played better against the top teams. We could have something. We were good at Anfield. Could be good at Stamford Bridge, but I don't know. One thing is for sure, though. I know that our atmosphere will be good that day, and yeah, I think we'll lose that game. To be honest with you. I can see a lost Liverpool easily and lift the title. Yeah, again, I think it's all wrapped up for them then, but I just don't really see how we get anything from that Liverpool game, to be honest. If we can rock up with a performance, but again, like, I've been requesting performances and we just haven't been seeing them. So obviously, I am absolutely for results right now. However, I just do want to see us look remotely competitive in games and show what this Chelsea team looks like, rather than trying for the life of us just to keep grinding out results, because it's so difficult. And then obviously we've got these. Well, I could just put these three up right now. There we go. That's our remaining last three of the season, guys. Newcastle away at St James's Park. Why do I fear every team right now? I fear every team. I am fearful, guys. That game at home before we crashed out to them in the cup at St James's Park a couple of days later, that game could have gone either way. It was not an easy game, guys. And you could argue that's, our good run of form and, we were playing well, blah, 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 blah. But we gave away a lot of chances that day, and I don't know. I don't think this game is going to be easy. And I actually think if we can get a draw at St James's Park, it's probably going to be a positive. But again, with how competitive everything is right now, and depending on how Newcastle's games go as well, they're going to fancy us massively. And we always know it's so difficult at St James's Park. No, it's not good. Yeah, Jason, you're right. It's absolutely not good for us. Can you guys just see how dejected I am right now? Because I'm looking at these games and I'm not confident. I've lost every ounce of optimism. Poch was bad, but I was never fearful going into these kind of games. That's a very interesting point, actually. And then you would be right, because looking back, we were good. We were competitive in these games. What were our results against Newcastle last year, guys? Can anyone remember and remind me? Because for some reason, I have just forgotten. Let's have a look, see if I can get this up. I literally can't remember our games against Newcastle last season. I'm just looking this up. Bear with, guys, bear with. Do. Okay, oh, so yes, it was the 3-2, of course. 3-2. 3-2, and yeah, that was, oh, who scored in that game? That was the 3-2. That was a difficult game, though, wasn't it? That was a very difficult game. Yeah, and then obviously we drew to them in the cup, and that was where we had to Was that the game where Mudryk scored the late goal and then we won on penalties? Yeah. Yes. Yes, it was. And then obviously the 4-1 defeat, which we don't talk about. So difficult. Oh, I have a spider on my wall. It's only a little mini one. Right then. Yes, we did. We lost 4-1 and we won at home. Sorry, it's really distracting me. It's like crawling up my wall. I don't ever get spiders in here, but it's because I've been having my window open a lot. Hey, just gonna keep an eye on it. I'm really not confident with the Liverpool, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, Nina. No, neither. And out of these games, so you've got obviously St James's Park. I think that could be a draw. United at home. Please, please, Chelsea, you must. I went to Old Trafford saying, we're going to get a result. Best time to play United. Best time to play United. We always say that, and then it never is because it's so difficult. How we were 2-0 up at Stamford Bridge, and again, they totally surprised us. We absolutely let them come back into that game, and then at the death, Cole Palmer saved us. Because what a great game that was, though. For the Mems, it was great. But looking back, the quality was just, yeah, we just somehow let off the gas and let United back into that one. It would make me so happy, guys. It would make me so happy to beat Manchester United at home. I'm actually going to root for a win this time. It is about time, guys. I don't care. We're going to win against United. I'm saying it now. Nottingham Forest away, or I don't know. In hindsight, getting a draw against them earlier this season was good. At the time, I complained, but actually, after how they've been this season and some of the results they've had, that was good. But Forest's last day of the season away from home, the spider is very, very high up. Just looking at it, it's literally really small, but yeah. Maybe it's a sign the spider came to visit. If the boys can believe in themselves, then we can. Victoria says we can win these games. Maresca's inconsistent tactics notwithstanding. Yes, look, I think we do have to we do have to have faith. Obviously, season's not over. We will obviously win some games. It's just it's difficult to predict which. And actually, the ones we think we might have in the bag, we don't. And then again, vice versa. This is a tough run until the end of the season. And it's, again, Maresca is under a lot of pressure to deliver something different, to change something, to add something, to offer something new, to give these players this new kind of outlook where they can actually believe in themselves, they can have a little bit more freedom. I just want to see us take shots. Wow, it's gone very high up, guys. Sorry, I'm just very distracted with the spider. Big up DJ Sav, hope you're well. I seriously feel conversations must be said about Maresca. Clearly this guy's out of his depth. The lineup he put out against Brentford was criminal. Yeah, and I think he'll have more surprises for us. Honestly, I was praising him for the lineups at the start of the season. I was saying this guy gets it spot on. He knows how to line us up. But then again, that was probably more credit to the players for the way they went out and played. But yeah. Seems to be prioritising the Conference Cup when finishing to be a Champions League spot. If he is, then guys, I want to say goodbye. I want to say goodbye. That's all I will say. However, because how? We all said, yes, Champions League is an absolute must. And because we're in the Conference League, that's also a must, right? Again, no disrespect, there's some good teams in there, but the disparity of the quality and the amount of depth we have and the amount of money we spent, we should absolutely have this wrapped up. We need to win the Conference League. Don't get me wrong, guys. Obviously, I want to win. We need to be in the Champions League, yes, absolutely. But there shouldn't be a trade-off here. It shouldn't be one or the other. It should be both. And that's not entitlement. It's just very simply realising that we should have the quality, and this is why we spent the money. And if we can't do it, then what makes me believe that we've got any chance of being competitive in the Champions League? Like, it's just simply not good enough. We need to win the Conference League, and we need to finish in the Champions League spot. That's an absolute must, and it shouldn't be one or the other. And if this manager thinks that prioritising the Conference League Cup and winning it and losing out in Champions League football will make us fans happy, then he should think again. It's just stopped at one point. It's just like stopped. Oh no, it's going again. Okay. I told my brothers that I can see us finishing at 9 this season. Ah, love you, Hamid. Thank you very much. It's very kind, and thank you very much for joining the stream. He gets too much praise nowadays. Who does? Enzo Maresca? We drew Man United 1-1 against the season with Casemiro scored. It got me scarred for life. I know, and that game was so frustrating for many reasons. And again, Maresca got a few things wrong in that one. So obviously, no manager's flawless, no manager's perfect, but there is now this consistent pattern where he is just overcomplicating things, and so the players are getting the same message. They're overcomplicating things as well. Right then, let's finish off with this one, and everyone replied to this as well. Tom asks, if we don't get top 5 and don't win the Conference League, does he get the sack? Yes. But he should, and will he, is a very different conversation. But guys, respond to Tom's comment, and while you guys do, thank you so much for watching the stream. If you stayed until the very end to hear me waffle, then thank you. I love you guys. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so already, and if you'd like to check out more stuff from myself, then I also do have a personal YouTube channel which is called Nina's Chelsea Corner. That will be in the description down below if you guys want to head over there and subscribe. And also follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, X, all of the jazz, and they will also be on my channel there. So yeah, if you could drop me a follow, drop me a like, drop me a subscribe, that would be really appreciated. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. You will get a evening stream tonight. Obviously, it's Champions League football, so it will be an hour earlier than usual. At 7 p.m. I believe, and let's have a look. And you've got Lewis on the lunchtime stream tonight, so stick around tonight, guys, for that. Yeah, in the meantime, I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, guys. Take care of yourselves, and of course, up the Chels.